How we doing, everybody, and welcome back to the Catalyst, where we break down and highlight some bullish trends, sentiment, and technical analysis in the crypto markets. Today we are going to be breaking down AMP and testing the possibility of AMP to hit $1. For whatever reason, anytime there's a penny stock or a crypto that's under $1, it's always the question, how do we get this to $1? What does it take to get to $1? Because everyone kind of romanticizes the idea of, oh, I have 100,000 shares of this. If it hits $1, I'll have $100,000. So we're going to put that to the test today and kind of see, where AMP can go, how or why it might get there, and what it might take to get to that dollar mark. So to put it simply, AMP has a market cap of $2 billion. For us to go from our 5 cents to $1 at our price point, we would need to hit a $40 billion market cap. And for us to hit that, we have some other questions we have to ask. First, let's take a look at the total crypto market, $2.5 trillion. Okay, so there's plenty of room for us to hit $40 billion there with some relative ease. To also kind of put that in perspective, though, we have, look at these other major cryptos, right? Polkadot, Solana, Cardano, all of those are kind of within the range of what we would need. $40 billion right here, Polkadot. Polkadot is obviously a big name player in the market. We are not quite there yet. So to just put that in perspective, we need to be on Polkadot's level of like notoriety and use case and everything like that for us to begin to get to that point. So that is just kind of putting it simply. The other thing I would like to look into a bit is, obviously AMP is highly dependent on its Flexi network. Or it's directly related to its Flexi network, and the Flexi network services the retail industry and a lot of, big box stores. So let's take a look at those stores and see how much money the AMP network is potentially handling in terms of like the money flowing through the retail industry. So this chart here you'll see is a list of all of the major retailers in the United States, breaking down how much their sales were in billions. As you see, Walmart had almost 400 billion, Amazon was 120, and again, these are numbers from 2018, so kind of keep that in mind. So of the companies that we service as AMP, I believe Lowe's is on the list there. We have GameStop, Nordstrom. Nordstrom's down here at 15. Office Depot is about 6. Whole Foods is at 15. GameStop's at 6 billion. Bed Bath & Beyond is at 12 billion, which should be up here somewhere. Yep. And I think Barnes & Noble's on the list as well at about $3.5 billion. So if we were to add that all up, and I believe the 2020 number for Lowe's is closer to 90 billion, we are managing almost $150 billion within the retail industry itself. So with that in mind, I think it's wise to check out our capacity on AMP, which is approximately $1.4 billion. So if we were to kind of do a little bit of a ratio versus, how much money is being managed in the retail industry and compare that to how much money is on the Flexi network and how much of that is being used. Because obviously, all of that money does not happen all the time. So you don't need $150 billion to manage $150 billion throughout the course of a year. You need some percentage of that. At the moment, if we were to break down that ratio, the current capacity of the Flexi network is 1% of the total retail sales of the companies that Flexa is a part of. That's actually pretty good if you think about it. So that puts us, at the 150 billion for the retail industry, and we're managing about 1% of that with our $1.4 billion spending capacity here for AMP. And that's what sits us at our $2 billion market cap. So with that, there's a few factors that come in here. Obviously, as more companies come in, we're going to need more money on the Flexi network, or there'll be more money flowing through it, which will be good because that will help drive the price up, obviously, because we're kind of directly related to the Flexi network and the money and our capacity on it. Additionally, if we can begin to manage more than 1% of the transaction or withhold 1% of the transaction throughout the course of the year, if we can get that up to 2 or 5%, we can see some significant gains, obviously. So first, let's take a look here. So if we were to add in Walmart and Amazon an extra $500 billion, that would probably, or potentially maintaining our current ratio of 1%, get us up to somewhere in the $7 billion market cap range, because our capacity would have to go up $5 billion to manage the additional $500 billion. So that'd put us at about 6.5 here. And I believe that our market cap would go up from 2 to about 7.5 or maybe 8. So that would be a 3 to 4x on AMP's price right now. So that would get us somewhere between 15 and 20 cents. And that's assuming we maintain our current levels of 1% with all of the transactions. If we were to not only grab Amazon and Walmart, but additionally have 5% of the total retail transactions on the Flexa network, we would then have a market cap of approximately $25 billion, which is I believe that's a 12x or so from here. So that would put us at about 60 cents instead of 5 cents. So now you can kind of start to think in your head a bit, what's it going to take to get to $1? Obviously, an increased ratio of the two examples I just gave. So more of those big box companies coming in, adding on other major retailers, Costco, Walgreens, Home Depot, etc. As we add more and more of those, we will then be able to kind of extrapolate and begin to see a higher market cap for the Flexa network as well. And additionally, in combination with that, a higher percentage of the retail industry's transactions being flowed through the Flexa network. So going from that 1% up to potentially 5 or I don't know, maybe 10%. 10% would obviously be amazing. It'd be quite interesting to see, how all of that begins to affect. I believe it would kind of scale. I don't know about exponentially, but it seems as though as we go from like 1% or 2% or higher, each percentage is going to reflect more significantly than the last in our market cap. So as we're handling 3%, it also scales with the sales of the companies that year. So if Amazon and Walmart have improved sales, the Flexa network will be getting used more, which means AMP should also increase as well because we're managing more money through the Flexa network. So a pretty cool little investigation here on AMP and the Flexa network and its capacity in relation to the market cap, as well as in relation to the retailers and their sales over the course of a year. I think conservatively we can say 15 cents is on the horizon at some point, whether that's this bull market just because of hype and FOMO and whatever, or people hearing whispers of Amazon and Walmart. Those are some things that might begin to drive the price up for us, but I think that is on the horizon. And I think 60 cents is also a potential, maybe not this year, maybe early 2020. All it takes is for Amazon or Walmart to announce that they're fully adopting the Flexa network, and it's going to be their major transactionary collateral device that they're using, and then suddenly everyone's aware of what AMP is, and the whole market is diving in on it. All right, so now before we end the video, let's take a look at the chart here and see what we might be expecting for AMP just in terms of technical analysis. Alrighty, so you can see here we've been kind of in this wedge for quite some time. You see, obviously the listing of Coinbase coming back down, and then, testing this resistance a few times. And then we've been kind of, finding some support now, but then we've been riding the underside of our EMA there. And then we're testing the resistance again. And we've been kind of rattling back and forth here for the last month or so. And then now we've actually made a push out of that. So that is super important for us. We've been hitting this resistance over and over again. So assuming this isn't some sort of fake out, that means we are now flipping bullish. This type of trend here typically follows the trajectory of the trend. So as we were going down, it would normally go down to the downside. So be very cautious, because this could also be a fake out, and then it could totally fail and flip negative on us. But I don't believe that'll happen. I think as the whole market rises, AMP will be one of the ones that rises with it. And you can even see this dash line here is another trend line that we broke as well. This one had some more tests of resistance as opposed to the height of the wedge. The height of the wedge was like mostly the wicks, whereas this one actually tests the candle itself, and we find some great resistance there. And we've actually flipped that, and now we are riding both of those as support. Hopefully, we're going to see how today goes the next couple days if we flip those into support, and then hopefully the next move for us could be, as we break out of this, something where we break out here. We could test some resistance here. If we break out through that resistance and go up to the next fib level, or even this resistance line at about 6.5 cents, what we want to see is to hit that resistance, find some support at the fib level, and then continue on after that, whatever it might do, something like that. That's kind of what we're looking for. We're looking for some healthy gains here for AMP and just for the market in general. You can also see here we have a low, a higher low, and another higher low, and potentially a fourth one coming in there. And you see that as well on our RSI. We touched the bottom here. We've been getting a little bit higher. There's a couple there, and we're making a fourth one. That's pretty bullish for us here, finding some positive support there. RSI is still sitting at about the 50 range, so we have plenty of room for some money to come into here and start to absorb this range here and start to accumulate kind of in that next leg of the ladder. So that is kind of all I have for AMP for now. So again, remember the TLDR, what we need is a $40 billion market cap. And how do we get there? We need the big box stores to buy in, and we need to manage a high percent of transactions just across the retail industry alone. So those are some things I think are very possible for us. Keep in mind, they're not going to happen overnight. It's not suddenly going to happen where Amazon announces it and then the next day they're using it at 100% capacity. That's just not going to be the case. It's going to be kind of a slow burn. I think we're primed to continue to grow throughout the bear market. So AMP could be a great target as the bear market, begins, as a great way to accumulate a lot of AMP. And then as the retail industries show some improvement and stuff like that throughout our bear market, AMP will begin to slowly kind of rise and chip away as the bull market comes back into cycle, and then it'll be a big time player hopefully in the next couple of years here. So all I got for you guys today. Remember, be careful, do your own research, and this is not financial advice. Hopefully this was a fun video for you, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.